What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then just welcome to my channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You won't be disappointed. Today's video is the first installment of my, I was trying to think of a name to call it. I was like, should it be Halloween or Horror Week, Horrorween? I don't know, but I have committed to one video every day for the week of Halloween about a true crime story that is the inspiration behind a popular horror film, and I'm so excited. I was a little more excited before I realized exactly how much work this was going to be, but I'm still excited. I'm just tired, and it's the first video. But anyway, I'm just gonna be exhausted when this is all over, but it's gonna be worth it because this is fun. Without further ado, let's just get into the video. Today's story, boys and girls, ghouls and gals, little Halloween theme for you, is about Mr. Ed Gein, who actually has inspired a couple of horror films. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was about him. Psycho was about him, his relationship with his mother, Norman Bates. He was also Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. So all of those actually were based off of him. And all of the characters were crazy, so you should know this is going to be interesting. Now, you all may have heard his story already, but So Ed Gein was born in Wisconsin on August 27th, 1906 to George and Augusta Gein. He also had a brother named Henry Gein, who was a little older than him. They grew up kind of poor in the start and in kind of a toxic household. Augusta hated her husband. Like, she despised her husband. He was an alcoholic who was unable to keep a job. He was an insurance salesman at one point. At another point, he was a carpenter. And then at some point, he, I guess, hit a lick and became an owner of a local grocery store, which he actually sold after a couple... He sold after a couple of years, and the family bought this 155-acre farmhouse. Well, they bought this huge farmhouse that was on 155 acres. They got their little check, and they dipped.
Gotta have a little money to live out here. As soon as I got my check, I was gone. Paid $230,000 cash on this place.
Now, this farmhouse was like isolated, near nothing, no neighbors. It was just way off, highly secluded, and the family really liked this. Ed's classmates and teachers recalled him being a very shy kid, but he had very strange mannerisms. Like they said, he would have these crazy, weird outbursts, fits of laughter at his own inner, monologue, his own little thoughts, and he was very antisocial. Like, he wasn't gonna share the joke. He just, I don't know, weird. Nevertheless, the school blamed his mother because she did not want her kids to have social lives, right? She wanted them to be secluded. She would punish them for having friends or just showing any kind of social skills. He was allowed to go to school, but he wasn't allowed to talk to anybody. No sleepovers, no birthday parties, no nothing. Little Henry was his only friend. Now, Augusta hated her husband for his, his way of being, but she was kind of off too, because in addition to her penalizing them for having a social life, when they were not at school, she would confine them to the farmhouse, Ed and his brother, and then she would read the Bible to them for like hours on end and preach that the world was like inherently evil and all women were prostitutes, that drinking was of the devil, that they should not partake in marijuana because that's the devil's lettuce. So that one didn't come from her, but it sounded like something she would have said, Henry thought his mother was a little strange, but Ed, he didn't. He loved his mother. He saw no wrong in what she was doing. They had a very odd codependent relationship. On April 1st, 1940, Ed's father dies of a heart attack, which is related to his drinking. Ed and Henry stepped up to do a lot of the farm work and odd jobs around the house, also in the near towns to help cover like the living expenses. They were both handymen. Ed also worked as a babysitter, which is kind of weird. He enjoyed babysitting. He actually was said to relate more so to children than adults. Apparently the neighbors trusted him with their children. I don't understand that, but they did because he was a successful little babysitter. And so while he was about town being a little weirdo, I mean, not saying that male babysitters are weirdos, but we know Ed was a weirdo because he he was a weirdo. He was described as such so far. We know that about him already. But anyway, I'm rambling. Henry was trying to live his best life. He was like, my mama crazy. My alcoholic father's gone. It's time for me to go out and do me. So then he started dating this woman who had 2 kids, and he planned on moving out and moving in with her and her kids. He did, however, worry about Ed's attachment to his mother and their relationship, and he would often tease him about it and say mean things about their mother just to piss him off, because he was a mama's boy and he just knew it would hurt little Ed's feelings and get him all riled up. And so Ed used to, of course, get pissed off by this, but he couldn't whoop Henry's ass, so he just had to take it in the meantime. When Ed was 38 years old, him and Henry were working in the fields of the farmhouse, burning marsh vegetation. Now, you know, apparently that's common when you are a farmer. One particular day, the fire got really out of hand. Like, it became a wildfire. And so Ed calls the police, well, the fire department. They come out, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Things got out of control. So after they put the fire out, Ed is like, oh no, where's Henry? He reports his brother missing, and they come back and they do a full search of like the ashes and burnt grass, and then Henry's body is found face down in the ashes, and he dead. Now originally they thought that it was because of the fire that he had burned, right? So they perform an autopsy, and the cause of death is asphyxiation, which is like being, you know, choked, smothered, all that bad stuff. And they're like, okay, yeah, that kind of goes with, you know, him being in a fire. But once the autopsy is performed, it's found that that was not the cause of death, and that Henry was dead before the fire even started. Like, he was already out of here. He also had bruises on his head, so they were like, you know what, fire don't do this. They immediately suspect Ed of murder, but they can't prove anything. Like, they couldn't find any type of evidence that would point in the direction of Ed, that would prove or even suggest that he had anything to do with the cause of death. And so they can't do nothing about it. They rule his death as an accident and move on. A few years later, their mother dies, and Ed is so sad. He decides to renovate the house. Now, one would think maybe he's getting a fresh start. His family is gone. He's just going, you know, revamp the house and decorate how he wanted it to be decorated. But instead, he decided to board up every room his mother ever used. Her bathroom, bedrooms, everything except the kitchen and one bedroom that came off of the kitchen. So while living in seclusion, Ed became very, what's the word? Not interested, but like when you're extremely obsessed with death cult magazines and Nazi cannibal stories. Yep. And even though he was free to be himself and make friends, he mostly kept to himself still. Remember, he didn't see anything wrong with his mother's teaching. He was willing to live out the rest of his life doing as she said, even after she was gone. So then in November of 1957, a local hardware store owner goes missing. Bernice Worden had last been seen the previous night and had been reported missing after her hardware store remained closed the next day. Her son Frank, who happened to be the deputy sheriff of the town, entered the store and discovered the cash register open and blood stains on the floor. And so he's like, what the hey? So while interviewing Frank, investigators found out that Ed had been in the store the night before and had actually told the store owner, his mother, Frank's mother, that he would return in the morning for a gallon of antifreeze. Sure enough, the last sale made by the store was for a gallon of antifreeze, and so the investigators head over to Ed's house to see what's up. So they get a search warrant and they head on down to the farm to take him down, you know, to the station for questioning. They had been prepared to find Bernice Worden's body on the farm, but they were not expecting to find everything that they found, because, honey, Ed Gein's home was filled with body parts, okay? Human body parts. There were countless bones, whole bones, fragmented bones, just all kind of bones. Skulls hanging from the bedpost poles, skulls that he had been using, human skulls. If you didn't realize, this is what we were talking about. Human skulls being used as cereal bowls. Worse than the bowls, everything in the house that you could think of that would have like upholstered furniture was made or reupholstered with human skin. This is a true story, guys. It happened. Ed Gein is a real guy. Google him. Google him. He had furniture made or reupholstered with human skin. He had waste baskets made of human skin. How you get that to stand up though? He must have just like glued it around an already made trash can. But whatever. Leggings made of human skin. Leggings. Why are you making leggings out of skin, sir? Why you do that for? He had masks of human faces where he had literally like cut the face off of a body, face off style. He had a belt made of nipples. Now, why you want a belt made of nipples? I don't know. But it was there. At the end of the video, I'm going to run down an entire list of like all of this stuff that was notated, that was confiscated from his home. Because it's real disturbing, y'all. It's nasty. Don't this stuff stink? Like, not trying to be funny, but sir, what your house smell like? You and Dennis Nilsen are a special kind of nasty. If you hadn't checked that video out, do so. He was nasty too. He had a pair of lips that had been used as a window shade drawstring. You know how you pull the window down by that little piece of like plastic, or if you fancy, it's probably made of wood or something. He had a pair of lips dangling there that he would use. It would tug on to pull his blinds. Sir, he had made a corset from a human torso. Sir, you can't just be going around making waist trainers out of waists. Sir, he also had a lampshade. Ooh, is this the gold? I think I'm gonna go with gold for my inner corner highlight. He also had a lampshade made out of a girl's face. Like, yep. Lampshade out of a girl's face. You know, there's this guy that I work with that kind of give me Ed Gein vibes. And actually, no, he gives me more I got a girl in my basement vibes, right? Speaking of girl in my basement, so y'all remember the Buffalo Bill scene on Silence of the Lambs where he had this girl like in a hole? I think it was in his living room. I don't know if it was his living room or his basement. Nevertheless, he had a girl in a hole and it was so deep she couldn't get out, and he wanted her skin. And so he would put like lotion in a bucket and lower it, and he would tell her it puts the lotion on his skin or else it gets the holes again. Buffalo Bill is Mr. Ed Gein. He needed the skin to be in good condition before he gets to, you know, reupholster his furniture. So there's definitely this guy that I work with that gives me I got a girl in my basement vibes. Like, sometimes at the end of the day, he's staring off into space and I'm just like, that man probably wondering if that girl got out or what he gonna do to her when he gets home. One of the two. But if you ever see this video, I'm not talking about you. It's not you. Don't kill me. Definitely not you I'm talking about. Like, not you. So along with the skin items, police found various dismembered body parts, including fingernails, 4 noses. What you were going to do with the noses? What would one do with random loose noses? And they also found, this ain't funny, but it's funny. Like, they found 9 loose vaginas. Not loose like that, but like cut off the body loose. Like, they found 9 loose vaginas rolling around the house. Y'all nasty. So Bernice Warden's body was found there in the house. So they did find what they were looking for, at least. You know, it's kind of like when you go to Walmart and you go for one thing, but you end up going and getting all this other stuff. They got all the other stuff, but they got her too. She was decapitated. Her head was in a burlap sack hanging from, I think, like his bedpost or something. And her heart was in a plastic bag hanging in the kitchen near the stove. So we don't know if he was about to eat that or what. The rest of her body, her whole body, everything else, was hung from the ceiling upside down and completely gutted like you would do a deer. I mean, unless you're a vegan. Police also found the remains of another woman, Mary Hogan, equally as dismembered, strung up the same, and gutted, just like Bernice, in the house. So he was working on them both, harvesting pieces for, you know, I guess I don't know. When the police questioned Ed, he folded immediately. Like, he didn't try to act like he didn't know what they were talking about. He didn't play any of those little reindeer games. None of the things. Like, none of the things typically you would do to try to be like, let me try and see if I could just get out of this. He told authorities that soon after his mother's death, he could not take, like, her being deceased. He missed her. He loved her. He was obsessed with her. And so he decided he was going to make a woman suit out of women's skin so that he could literally become his mother. Sir, excuse me? He wanted to quote unquote crawl into her skin. Sir. So though there were countless bodies found in the house, homeboy was only charged with one murder. That was Bernice Worden's. What? He pled, you guessed it, not guilty by reason of insanity. He was crazy. He was declared unfit to stand trial, so he had a pretty good chance of getting this thing not thrown out, but going to a hospital instead of jail, which is what he wanted to do. He was sent to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane, where he was later diagnosed as schizophrenic. At some point, the doctors there were like, you know what? This man is not crazy. He can stand trial. He ain't crazy. And so then he had to be re-evaluated, but then he was found to be criminally insane and unfit to stand trial again. He was confined to that mental hospital to spend out the rest of his days, where he did. He died as one of history's most disturbing serial killers of all time at the age of 77 in 1984. It's so insane that he was only charged with one murder, which was like, it's like, girl, y'all know, even if you don't know who the other women are, because I think it was like 40 bodies. Even if you don't know who the other women are, like, you know who Mary Hogan was, at least put that girl on the bill. I mean, now the other body parts, he told investigators that he had exhumed from graveyards, that he had made over 40 trips to graveyards, and he would dig up bodies and sell them, and that's how he got all the other pieces. But that's a crime too. Put that on the bill too. Abuse of a corpse, grave robbing, like that's a thing. Punishable by law. I don't get why he wasn't charged with more. Like, come on now. Let's go over the complete list of things found in his home, shall we? There were the whole bones, of course, in the fragments. The wastebasket made of skin. Human skin covered all of the chairs and seats of the home. Of course, there were the skulls on his bedpost, hung like, I don't know what. Female skulls with the tops sawn off. Bowls, of course, made of human skulls for him to enjoy his Cheerios. Of course, the waist strainer that was made from a human female torso. And apparently this thing was like the length of the average person's shoulder to the bottom of their waist. Sir. The leggings made from human leg skin. Where were you gonna wear those to? I want to know. Masks made from the female's face. Mary Hogan's face was found in a paper bag. Of course, Bernice's head that was in the burlap sack, her heart in the plastic bag. The 9 vaginas were in a shoebox, just rolling around. There were clothing that belonged to young girls. This belt made of human nipples, though, just really puzzles me. Like, I want to see it. 4 noses, the lips that he used on the drawstring, the lampshade, fingernails that had been completely removed, like the whole fingernail bed. He had a bunch of those. So all of these artifacts were photographed at the State Crime Library and then destroyed because they were just so disturbing. Like, they decided, you know what? We're not gonna keep this in the evidence library because this is just ridiculous. So if you have watched Silence of the Lambs and seen Buffalo Bill, Psycho and seen Norman Bates, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre and seen Leatherface, just know that this was a real person out here doing these real things. Insane. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Subscribe if you have not. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all of the comments, all of the positivity, all of the love. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.